when a stranger saves an alien huntress from death and tyranny. The snap of a twig broke the forest's hushed whispers, and Liam froze. 10 years of ecological research in these woods had taught him to distinguish between the sounds of familiar wildlife and something different. This was different. He adjusted his backpack, laden with soil samples and research equipment, and peered through the canopy of ancient pines. Shafts of golden afternoon light pierced the dense foliage, illuminating dancing particles of dust and pollen. The air smelled of pine resin and wet earth, but now carried something else, a metallic tang that didn't belong. "Hello," Liam called, his voice absorbed by the surrounding vegetation. He pushed his dark hair away from his forehead, wiping away beads of sweat. The spring heat was unusually intense this year. Another sound, a soft moan, drew him off the narrow dirt path and between two massive oak trees. What he found made him drop his collection kit. In a small clearing lay a woman, no, not a woman. The figure before him had the shape of a human female, but her skin was a light violet that seemed to pulse with a subtle luminescence. She lay sprawled on the forest floor, her silver hair fanned out around her like liquid mercury. A simple white garment, torn and singed, barely covered her curvaceous form. Dark violet fluid blood seeped from a gash across her thigh. "My gods," Liam whispered, instinctively kneeling beside her. "Are you all right?" Her eyes snapped open, startling blue, like the heart of a flame, and she scrambled backward, her movements fluid despite her injury. She hissed something in a language that sounded like crystalline chimes. "I'm not going to hurt you," Liam said, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. "You're injured." She assessed him with those piercing eyes, her chest rising and falling rapidly. A small device on her wrist emitted a soft glow, and when she spoke again, he understood her. "Human," she said, her voice carrying an ethereal quality. "You should not be here, they will come." "Who will come? Let me help you," Liam insisted, reaching slowly for his first aid kit. The alien woman winced as she tried to stand. "The Dominion Hunters, I am Nyara, 4th Scout of the Celestial Resistance. My ship." She glanced upward, and Liam followed her gaze, noticing for the first time the broken branches and scorched foliage that marked a violent descent. "I'm Liam Foster." He carefully approached her again. "Whatever's happening, you need medical attention first." A distant humming sound grew in the air, and Nyara's expression shifted to one of terror. "They've tracked my ship. You must leave, human. The Dominion shows no mercy to those who assist fugitives." Instead of retreating, Liam made a decision that would forever alter his existence. He gently lifted Nyara into his arms, surprised by her lightness despite her height. "My cabin is 2 miles north," he said firmly. "We can make it before dark." Nyara's eyes widened. "Why would you risk yourself for me?" Liam smiled wryly as he began walking, careful not to jostle her injured leg. "Maybe I've spent too much time alone in these woods studying ecosystems, or maybe helping someone in need is just what humans do, some of us anyway." The humming grew louder and a shadow passed overhead. "They will not stop hunting me," Nyara whispered, her blue eyes fixed on his face. "Then they'll have to get through me first," Liam replied, ducking beneath a low-hanging branch and quickening his pace as the forest darkened around them. Liam's cabin materialized from the twilight forest like a mirage, a weathered structure of timber and stone nestled against the base of a towering cliff. Solar panels glinted on the roof, catching the last rays of the setting sun. "It's not much," Liam said as he carried Nyara up the wooden steps, "but it's off-grid and well hidden." Nyara's gaze swept across the surroundings with tactical precision. "The rock face shields from aerial detection," she observed, her voice strained. "Strategically sound." Inside, Liam gently laid her on his worn leather couch. The cabin was Spartan but comfortable, bookshelves crammed with field guides and scientific journals, a modest kitchen area, and equipment for his research scattered across a large wooden table. "I need to clean that wound," he said, retrieving his medical kit from a cabinet. Nyara touched the device on her wrist and a holographic display appeared. "Dominion drones will be scanning for my biosignature. This translator also masks my vital signs, but its power is failing." Liam dampened a cloth and knelt beside her. "Let me worry about that after we get you patched up." As he cleaned the violet blood from her thigh, he noticed the wound was already starting to close, far more rapidly than any human injury would heal. "Your cellular regeneration is remarkable," he murmured. A faint smile touched Nyara's lips. "One of many advantages the Dominion sought to exploit in my people." Her expression darkened. We were prized for our adaptability, our connection to the natural world. They turned us into weapons, hunters tracking down other resistant species. But you rebelled, Liam guessed, applying a bandage despite her accelerated healing. I was sent to assess your world for conquest. Her blue eyes held his. Instead, I discovered its beauty, its diversity rivals even the great forest of my homeworld Listhia. I could not bear to see it destroyed. A mechanical whirring sound passed overhead and they both froze. Liam quickly extinguished the lights, plunging the cabin into darkness. Patrol drone, Nyara whispered. Third-generation sentinel, they detect heat signatures. Liam moved swiftly to a panel near the fireplace, adjusting settings on what appeared to be a climate control system. My research requires temperature regulation for specimen preservation, he explained. It also disperses our thermal output. The whirring faded into the distance, but tension lingered in the air. You understand, Nyara said quietly, that by helping me you've made yourself a target of the Dominion. They do not distinguish between resistors and their allies. Liam handed her a cup of water. I've spent years documenting the interconnectedness of species in this forest, how each life form depends on others in ways we're only beginning to comprehend. He sat beside her. Seems that principle extends farther than I imagined. Night fell completely, moonlight filtering through the windows and catching the silver strands of Nyara's hair. In the ethereal glow, Liam noticed intricate markings along her shoulders, patterns that seemed to pulse with the same luminescence as her skin. What are those? He asked, gesturing to the markings. Life paths, she replied, her fingers tracing the patterns. They tell the story of my journey, my choices. Each Listhians are unique. She studied him with curiosity. Your species bears no visible record of your experiences, yet you chose to help me. Why? Liam considered the question. Maybe because being human means writing our own stories, making choices that aren't predetermined by biology or expectation. A small beeping came from Nyara's wrist device, interrupting the moment. My people, she said, eyes widening, they're attempting contact. Her expression fell as she examined the translator. But this cannot maintain a stable connection without proper equipment. What do you need? Liam interrupted, already moving toward his research gear. Nyara looked at him with surprise. You would further endanger yourself by helping me communicate with rebels. Liam shrugged, a half-smile forming. I'm already harboring an alien fugitive, might as well commit fully to the interstellar rebellion. For the first time, Nyara laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a summer breeze. You are unlike any species the Dominion has catalogued, Liam Foster. Outside, the forest whispered secrets into the night as they began working, unaware that kilometers above, a Dominion command ship had just entered Earth's atmosphere. Dawn broke reluctantly through a heavy mist that clung to the forest floor. Liam stood at the cabin window, scanning the tree line with his binoculars. They had worked through the night, converting his radio equipment into something compatible with Nyara's technology. Anything? Nyara asked, approaching silently behind him. Her movement was fluid now, her wound nearly healed. Nothing yet, but they'll be back. Liam lowered the binoculars. How's the transmitter? She gestured to the makeshift device on the table, a bizarre fusion of Earth electronics and alien components harvested from a small compartment in her translator. It will work for one transmission, perhaps two. After that, she left the sentence unfinished. A distant mechanical whine made them both tense. Liam's hand instinctively reached for hers, their fingers intertwining. That's not a drone, Nyara whispered, her blue eyes widening. Dropship, they're deploying ground forces. Liam moved quickly, gathering essential supplies into his field backpack. There's a network of caves about 5 miles west. The mineral content interferes with most scanning technology. It's why I chose this area for my research. Nyara activated the transmitter, speaking rapidly in her crystalline language. The response was fragmented, distorted through the jerry-rigged system, but her expression shifted from concern to determination. My unit received coordinates. They will attempt extraction in 3 cycles, what you would call days. She deactivated the device and slipped a component into a pocket of the clothes Liam had given her, a flannel shirt and hiking pants that were slightly too large but serviceable. Then we have 3 days to reach the caves and stay alive, Liam said, handing her a canteen. They slipped out the back of the cabin just as the first glint of Dominion armor appeared through the trees to the east. Nyara moved with the silent precision of a natural predator, and Liam followed her lead, placing his feet exactly where she did to minimize their trail. The forest thickened as they traveled west, massive pines giving way to ancient, gnarled oaks draped with moss. The morning fog provided cover but also limited visibility. "Stop," Nyara hissed suddenly, pulling Liam behind a fallen log. Seconds later, a figure in sleek metallic armor stepped into view. The Dominion hunter's helmet concealed any features, but the confident stride and weapons suggested deadly efficiency. In one hand, it held a device that pulsed with soft light. "Bio-tracker," Nyara breathed against Liam's ear. "It reads genetic signatures." The hunter paused, adjusting the device and scanning slowly in an arc. For a heart-stopping moment, it turned directly toward their hiding place. Nyara reached for a stone and threw it with incredible precision, sending it skittering across the ground 30 yards away. The hunter spun toward the sound, stalking in that direction. "Now," she mouthed, and they moved in the opposite direction, keeping low. They traveled in tense silence for nearly an hour before Nyara spoke again. "You move well for a human," quietly. Liam smiled despite their situation. Years of not wanting to disturb wildlife during observation, never thought it would be useful for evading alien soldiers. "The Dominion underestimates primitive worlds," she said, then caught herself. "Forgive me, less technologically advanced worlds." "No offense taken," Liam chuckled. "Compared to interstellar travel, we're definitely primitive." The sun climbed higher, burning away the mist. They paused by a stream to refill their canteens. Nyara knelt, running her fingers through the clear water. "Your world has such abundance," she said softly. "On Listhia, the Dominion harvested our water for export to their desert colonies. Many of our rivers ran dry." Liam watched her face, seeing both wonder and sorrow. "That's why you turned against them." She met his gaze. "One reason among many. I saw too many worlds stripped of their essence, too many species subjugated." Her fingers unconsciously traced the life paths on her shoulder. "The final breaking point was being ordered to hunt my own kind, those who resisted." A branch snapped in the distance. They both froze, listening intently, birds scattered from treetops to their left. "We need to move," Liam whispered, offering his hand. Nyara took it and they continued westward at a faster pace. As they navigated a particularly steep hillside, Liam lost his footing on loose shale. Nyara's reflexes were instantaneous. She caught him, her strength surprising as she pulled him upright. Their faces came close, breath mingling in the cool forest air. "Thank you," Liam said, suddenly acutely aware of her proximity. Nyara didn't immediately release him. "In my culture, saving a life creates a bond, unbreakable, sacred." "What kind of bond?" Liam asked, his voice low. The answer came as her lips met his, tentative at first, then with growing certainty. The kiss lasted only seconds but carried the weight of worlds colliding. They parted at the sound of a dropship passing overhead. "We should continue," Nyara said, her blue eyes now holding a new warmth. As they resumed their journey toward the caves, Liam realized that whatever happened next, his life's path, his own invisible life paths, had been irrevocably altered. The caves welcomed them with cool darkness and the gentle music of dripping water. Limestone formations reached up like ancient fingers from the cavern floor, catching what little light filtered through narrow fissures in the rock ceiling. "We should be safe here," Liam said, setting down his pack and activating a solar lantern. The soft glow revealed a vast chamber extending deep into the mountainside. The high iron content in these walls blocks most scanning technology. Nyara ran her hand along the stone's surface, her violet skin luminescent in the dim light. "Your instincts serve you well. The molecular density would indeed confuse Dominion bio-trackers." She turned to him with a hint of admiration. "You would have made an excellent scout." Liam smiled, unpacking their meager supplies. "Just a scientist who pays attention to details." They established a small camp near a freshwater spring that bubbled from the cave wall. As night fell outside, Nyara reconfigured their makeshift transmitter, adding components from her partially repaired wrist device. "Tell me about your resistance," Liam said, passing her a protein bar from his supplies. Nyara accepted it gratefully. "We call ourselves the Astral Covenant, beings from 100 worlds united against Dominion expansion." Her fingers moved deftly among the wires. "What began as isolated rebellions has grown into a coordinated force. My unit specializes in reconnaissance and liberation." "And they're coming here to Earth's." She nodded, A small extraction team led by Commander Jackson, my mentor and the one who first showed me the truth about the Dominion's cruelty. Her expression softened. He saved me from becoming what they wanted, a mindless hunter tracking down my own kind. Liam watched her work, mesmerized by her precise movements. What happens after they extract you? Nyara paused, meeting his gaze. That depends on what we discover about the Dominion's interest in Earth. Her blue eyes held a question, and perhaps on what you choose. The implication hung between them, unspoken but clear. Before Liam could respond, the transmitter emitted a series of tones. Contact, Nyara whispered, adjusting controls. The device projected a small hologram, a humanoid figure with angular features and skin that appeared to be covered in fine scales. Fourth Scout Nyara, the figure said, voice distorted but understandable. Your signal is weak but received. Extraction coordinates confirmed, arrival in 48 Earth hours. Commander Jackson, Nyara replied, relief evident in her voice. Be advised, Dominion hunters have deployed in force, at least one squad with biotrackers. Acknowledged, we've detected their command vessel in high orbit. This is no longer a simple retrieval mission. The hologram flickered. The Dominion has accelerated their timeline. Intelligence suggests they plan to establish a forward base on Earth within the week. Liam leaned forward, a base for what purpose? Jackson's holographic eyes shifted to him. You must be the human Nyara mentioned. Earth's location makes it strategically valuable, a perfect staging point for operations in this sector. But more importantly, your world possesses something they desperately want. What? Liam asked. Biodiversity, Nyara answered, understanding dawning on her face. Earth has more diverse ecosystems than any world in the charted galaxy. The Dominion harvests genetic material to engineer biological weapons. Jackson nodded. Precisely, and they've identified a particular concentration of unique biological specimens in your region. The hologram gestured. The forest you protect, scientist, it contains plant species with remarkable properties, at least according to the Dominion scan data. Liam sat back stunned. My research. I've documented over 30 plant species with unusual cellular regeneration capabilities, but I never published those findings. The Dominion has ways of extracting information, Jackson said grimly. They likely monitored your research remotely. The transmission began to break up. Signal degrading, Nyara said, adjusting controls frantically. Bringing combat team, Jackson's voice cut through static. Need you to location of Dominion advance post. The hunters must have a base camp, Nyara said to Liam. If we can locate it before extraction. Crucial to stop them before, Jackson's hologram flickered violently. Earth depends on. The transmission died. Nyara sat back, her expression grave. They're not just coming for you anymore, Liam said quietly. This is about Earth now. Nyara nodded. The Dominion pattern is always the same. They establish a foothold, extract resources, then strip the planet bare. She took his hand. I'm sorry I brought this to your doorstep. Liam's fingers tightened around hers. You didn't. They were coming anyway. We just have the advantage of knowing it now. He pulled out his field notebook. And I think I know where they might establish their advance post. Opening to a map he had drawn of the region, he pointed to a clearing near a small lake. This area has the highest concentration of the plant species I've been studying. It's also relatively flat, ideal for a landing zone. Nyara studied the map. If we can confirm their location, the Covenant can target their operation precisely. She looked up at him. But it would mean leaving our shelter, exposing ourselves to detection. Sometimes, Liam said with determination, the best defense is to stop hiding and start fighting. In the soft glow of the lantern, Nyara's life path seemed to pulse brighter. You speak like a member of the Covenant already. Her hand reached up to touch his face. Liam Foster, when my people arrive, what will you choose? In answer, he leaned forward and kissed her, no longer tentative but with the certainty of someone who had found his path. When they separated, he simply said, I choose to protect what matters. Outside the cave, night blanketed the forest as Dominion hunters continued their search, unaware that the hunted were about to become the hunters. First light crept across the forest canopy, painting the leaves in hues of amber and gold. Liam and Nyara crouched at the edge of a ridge overlooking the clearing he had identified. Below them, their suspicions were confirmed. A Dominion advance post had been established overnight. A sleek spacecraft, roughly the size of a small aircraft carrier, dominated the clearing. Around it, prefabricated structures had been assembled with military precision. Armored figures moved between stations with purpose, and several were loading containers with plant specimens. "They're harvesting already," Liam whispered, adjusting his binoculars. "Those purple flowers they're collecting, they contain compounds that accelerate cellular regeneration." Nyara's expression darkened. "Standard procedure. Extract valuable resources first in case resistance is encountered." She pointed to a larger structure near the ship. "Command center. If we can get close enough, I can tap into their communications network and transmit their exact coordinates to the Covenant." Liam studied the perimeter. There's a drainage culvert on the eastern edge. The water runoff from the lake passes under their security perimeter. "You've thought this through," Nyara said with an appreciative smile. "I spent years mapping every inch of this forest." He returned her smile. "Never thought I'd be using that knowledge to infiltrate an alien base." They retreated from the ridge and circled around to approach from the east. The morning mist provided cover as they reached the culvert, a concrete tunnel just large enough to crawl through. "I'll go first," Liam said, but Nyara placed a hand on his shoulder. "Liam," she said softly, "if we're captured, the Dominion will show no mercy. They will extract everything you know, then discard you." Her blue eyes searched his. "Are you certain about this?" He covered her hand with his own. "More certain than I've been about anything in my life." The culvert was damp and narrow, forcing them to crawl on their stomachs through cold water and mud. After what seemed an eternity, they emerged behind a storage unit near the edge of the compound. Dominion soldiers marched in formation barely 20 meters away. Nyara pointed to a communications array atop the command center. "I need to get close enough to transmit." They moved from shadow to shadow, using the activity of the base as cover. When they reached the command center, Nyara produced a small device from her pocket, the component she had salvaged from the transmitter. "Stand guard," she whispered, attaching the device to a panel near the base of the building. Her fingers moved across it in complex patterns and symbols appeared on its surface. Liam kept watch, heart pounding as a patrol passed nearby. "Hurry," he urged quietly. Almost, Nyara began, but a sharp alarm cut her off. Red lights flashed across the compound. "Perimeter breach detected," announced a mechanical voice. "Intruder alert." "They've detected the transmission," Nyara said, working frantically. "Just a few more seconds." The door to the command center slid open, and a tall figure emerged. Unlike the other soldiers, this one wore ornate armor with insignia of rank. The commander removed his helmet, revealing pale skin stretched too tight across an angular face and eyes like black glass. "Scout Nyara," he said, voice like gravel. "The deserter, I suspected you might survive the crash." Nyara stood, positioning herself between the commander and Liam. "Lieutenant Drexel, still following orders without question, I see." Drexel smiled coldly. "And you're still betraying your purpose. You were designed to hunt, not to protect." His black eyes shifted to Liam. "Especially not a primitive species." "The only thing primitive here is the Dominion's endless consumption," Liam retorted, standing beside Nyara. Drexel signaled and soldiers surrounded them. "Your resistance allies won't receive your transmission. We've been jamming all frequencies since detecting your crash landing." Nyara's expression remained defiant. "Are you certain about that?" As if in answer, the sky erupted with sound and light. 3 sleek vessels descended through the clouds, their hulls gleaming like burnished silver in the morning sun. Unlike the angular Dominion ship, these craft had organic, flowing lines. "The Covenant," Nyara breathed. Chaos erupted across the compound. Defense systems activated as Dominion soldiers scrambled to battle stations. In the confusion, Liam tackled Drexel, sending them both crashing to the ground. The lieutenant was stronger, but Liam fought with the desperation of someone protecting not just himself, but his entire world. Nyara dispatched 2 soldiers with fluid movements before pulling Liam away from Drexel. "The command center, we need to disable their weapons systems." They sprinted for the door as energy weapons scorched the ground around them. Inside, banks of control panels lined the walls. Nyara moved to a central console while Liam barricaded the door. "Cover me," she said, fingers flying across the alien interface. Outside, the battle intensified. The Covenant vessels deployed smaller craft and troops of their own, a diverse array of beings from different worlds, united in purpose. A massive explosion rocked the building as the door burst inward. Drexel stood framed in the doorway, weapon raised. "Step away from the console," he commanded. "It's done," Nyara said calmly. "Their defense systems are down." Drexel's face contorted with rage. He fired, but Liam shoved Nyara aside, taking the blast across his shoulder. He fell, pain searing through him. What happened next was a blur, Nyara moving with impossible speed, the lieutenant's weapon clattering across the floor, a struggle of tremendous force. Through a haze of pain, Liam saw Nyara standing over Drexel's unconscious form. "Liam," she was beside him instantly examining his wound. "Hold on." The door opened again and a figure entered, the scaled humanoid from the hologram, Commander Jackson. "Nyara," he said, relief evident in his voice. "The base is secured." His gaze fell to Liam. "Is this your human ally?" "He's injured," she said urgently. "He needs medical attention." Jackson knelt beside them, producing a small device that he passed over Liam's wound. Superficial tissue damage, easily treated. He looked at Liam with genuine respect. "You fought well, Earth-dweller. Your actions have saved countless lives, perhaps your entire planet." Liam grimaced through the pain. "Not just me, Nyara is the real hero." Jackson helped him to his feet. "Come, both of you have earned your place among the Covenant." Outside, the battle had ended. Dominion soldiers were being detained, and the Covenant forces had established control of the base. One of the silver ships landed in the clearing, its boarding ramp extending in welcome. As they walked toward it, Liam paused to look back at his forest, the trees standing tall and defiant, just as they had for centuries before humans walked beneath them. "What happens now?" he asked. Nyara took his hand, her fingers intertwining with his. "The Covenant will establish protection for Earth, a shield against further Dominion incursions. Your world will remain free." "And us?" Liam asked, meeting her gaze. She smiled, her life paths glowing brilliantly in the morning light. "That depends on what you choose. You could stay, continue your research under Covenant protection," she hesitated. "Or you could come with me. The stars hold wonders you've never imagined." Jackson stepped forward. "The Covenant needs people like you, Liam Foster, those who understand the delicate balance of living worlds, who will fight to protect them." Liam looked from the commander to Nyara, then up at the sky where stars still shone faintly despite the growing daylight. His whole life had been devoted to understanding the interconnectedness of species on Earth. Now, that web of life extended far beyond what he had ever imagined. "I think," he said finally, smiling at Nyara, "that some research requires field work among the stars.